Good afternoon, everybody. Joel Fritsma here with the Michigan Storm Chasers, and we are going to look back at our second tornado of the year for Michigan in 2023, and it's the Monroe County Detroit Beach tornado. It was rated an EF1. We're going to go look into the information here. Yes, EF1 tornado. It was on the ground for just about 10 minutes. This was a couple days ago now, June 15th. 6:09 to 6:18 p.m. Again, EF1 with 90-mile-per-hour winds max. It traveled a lengthy 4.7 miles, so it's not your average bird fart here in Michigan. It was max width of actually 400 yards, but there was no injuries or deaths associated with this tornado, which is a good thing. Our summary reads that the tornado touched down near Dixie Highway and a north part of Detroit Beach neighborhood. The damage in this area was mainly large tree limbs, and winds estimated at 70 miles per hour. With that, the tornado tracked east-northeast through Woodland Beach, where the greatest damage occurred. This is where our 400-yard width um, portion of the tornado was at. The track continued into our Baycrest Beach area, where a couple limbs and a couple trees were down along the lakeshore. This tornado crossed the Lakeshore Road and then finally ended in Lake Erie. We actually have a video of that was sent in to us earlier this week. Thank you to Angelica Renee. Here's the video pulled off our Facebook page. Again, not for broadcasting anywhere else. It's kind of hard to see in the rain there, but that is the tornado exiting into Lake Erie, going offshore, going on offshore. You can kind of see the bands of rain whipping around there, and the wind also taking the birdhouse with it, but thankfully not knocking it down. Again, no fatalities or injuries with this tornado. And you can see with the video sped up there, you can see the tornado out there in the distance. And this is when it was an EF0 strength, so it was tail end of its path. So that's that. So that was a moderate EF1, actually kind of a low in EF1, as you can see on the scale, 86 to 110 miles per hour is the EF1 classification. Some photos from the storm in general. We had a lot of hail that came down with the storm on top of the tornadoes. This is some tree damage from Pinckney, Michigan. Salem Township, we had some quarter-sized hail, penny-sized, nickel-sized hail. In New Boston, in Carlton, there's some more inch and a half hail. And then just some larger hail, again in Pinckney. A couple photos from that area. And again, this is off the National Weather Service Detroit/Pontiac webpage. And our environment at the time, I was looking through this, and there was a low pressure system that kind of swept down. Very, very isolated. And you can see that here in our surface analysis, a little area of low pressure right there, 10 or 1004 millibars. And I was looking at our surface-based CAPE, over 2000 there, which is like our fuel for our storms, and our lapse rate, which is the change in temperature height, kind of nudged into lower Michigan there, southeast Michigan during the day. Not the greatest, not the greatest lapse rates, but you obviously don't need anything too high to get those storms or get the lapse rates, or the storms severe, I should say. And then our shear from 0 to 6 kilometers in height, definitely there, 48 knots. And then our favorite, our photographs on the day. The classic C shape was definitely there, just right for supercells, and we saw a lot of those, and I'll show you on the radar here in a second. But yeah, right down here in the bottom corner of Michigan, that's our photograph for the Detroit Beach area. And you can see the turning in height from the first kilometer up into the second and the third quickly veers off to the southeast. And again, this is very localized. As you can see, the western part of the state did not have good photographs capable of producing supercells, along with, lapse rates and other ingredients. And we'll go into the storm reports here. This is taken off the Storm Prediction Center website. Kind of a zoomed out image on the day. Obviously, we weren't the main focal point on the 15th of June. We had a moderate risk down in Oklahoma during that day, but well, as as a result, they kind of slept on us a little bit, and the 2% tornado risk was not issued until the tornado had obviously gone well past Michigan. It was like 8 o'clock at night when they finally issued it. So it was a sleeper day. Michigan doesn't need the Storm Prediction Center's permission to go off, and we've seen that in the past. So zooming in on those storm reports, obviously, like I said, lots of hail, mainly down the 96 corridor, 94 corridor, southeast of Lansing. Those hails reports started in Fowlerville, traveled southeast into Ann Arbor, had a couple of damaging wind reports as well. More hail reports over by eastern Michigan, University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti area, and then down towards Milan. And then finally, when you get down towards closer to the border, you have our lone tornado report in Michigan, our EF1. And again, that was surveyed a day after it actually touched down. And then closer to the border, obviously our main focal point was this tornado in Monroe County, but we almost had two in Michigan that day. This tornado started just yards from the Michigan border, but it stayed in Ohio the entire time. That one was an EF2 tornado and tracked through the northern suburbs of Toledo. And that being said, we will go to our radar. So I have it looping right now. Just to loop, you can kind of see just how they were all lined up here. So you have boom. I can't even. We're gonna pause it. So we had one, two, three, at least three main supercells in this area. The one we were looking at with the severe hail was this storm right back here. That was going over Ann Arbor, and it had that classic hook to it. We thought that was going to be the storm that produced the tornado. They never issued a tornado warning for it, but as you can see, it had a lot of open air behind it, a lot of chances for inflow and whatnot, and rear filling downdraft is there too. But it cut itself off eventually, and it kind of transferred down to our storm in Detroit Beach, where it quickly wrapped up here and produced a tornado warning just as going on to Lake Erie. And we will switch over to our winds. So for those who are not familiar, our reds are winds going outbound, greens are winds going inbound, and where they meet really close together is where you got a potential tornado spin up. And we saw that right here. Detroit was quick to warn it as it was going through Woodland Beach and Stony Point. It was, like I said, on the ground. It was going east northeast, so I'm sure this white line is not completely accurate. It was on the ground, I think, the entire time, and it finally, went out into Lake Erie. But you can see here when we showed that video on from our Facebook page, the tornado was going on over Lake Erie and eventually dissipated, probably 5-10 miles offshore. We don't know that for sure, obviously, because you can't survey water, but signatures point to a tornado that existed over Lake Erie for at least some time. And then we had our tornado down here on the border going on kind of almost simultaneously. This tornado, so it started right here and finally got warned eventually down the road. So they were kind of sleeping down there in Ohio a little bit on that storm, which EF2, so kind of a swing and a miss, but our weather service here in Michigan, Detroit, was on top of ours. And going back into velocity signature, that was we're gonna go look at the storm up here in Ypsilanti, which is the one that we thought was gonna spin up something, and it tried for a while, just couldn't do it compared to our storm down there, which did in fact do it. So that being said, that is the conclusion of this second tornado summary of our second tornado for the year. Our one of our staff members, Ryan, was on that storm as well. He had some pictures actually. I'm gonna go back to that real quick because I'm gonna show him from that storm. It's a good thing I remembered. Um, this was the wall cloud slash shelf cloud that was associated with that storm at the time. Another picture I found, or he pulled up and gave to me, was this one right here, and then some scud, which kind of looks like a tornado, but it's just scud. So overall, a very, very interesting day. Quiet sleeper day for us. Hopefully, our next storms don't come out of the come like we have some lead time to it and not just one day. But we will see. Currently, the next 7 days we're looking at dry weather again, so we're gonna be waiting at least another 7 days for more storms to enter the area. With that being said, have a great afternoon, everybody, and happy Father's Day.